Hello, this is Purge bringing you guys a winter Wyvern game. Sorry, it's been a while since I did a local recording, but I hope you guys are doing well. Just been uploading a lot of streams last week. I got back from Wisconsin on Tuesday or Monday. Was it Monday? Pretty much Monday, and now it's Thursday. So I kind of took yesterday off, and that was kind of nice. Played a lot of Dota yesterday, which was pretty fun. But today I realized, Winter Wyvern came out like a week and a half ago, and I still haven't made a Winter Wyvern game, which I don't know. It slipped my mind. I was focusing on other stuff. So I finally sat down and I was like, all right, I'm just going to play Winter Wyvern games. It's so hard to say. And on ranked until I got a really good feel for the hero. It took me about 4 games until I felt like I had a decent enough game for upload. So this is that game, and I thought it was pretty good. Just to clarify, there's some guy named Miracle on the other team. I'm so sure that it's not him. Miracle's like a top-rated C player. That guy's amazing, and the Wind Ranger in this game was not that good. So we are in. I don't know why this is taking so long. This is actually an unranked game, so everybody can pretty much pick instantly. Just everybody is kind of waiting until this last second. So, alright, player perspective and Winter Wyvern. So, it's a dragon hero. That means nothing other than the fact that it looks like a dragon. His wings are pretty huge. I'm not the biggest fan of the hero model, but I don't know, it definitely has character. I just don't personally like how it looks. But I think in terms of Dota, it's pretty good here. So I buy pretty much typical items. I think this hero should be played as a support. Oh god, I'm on the wrong overlay. There we go. I think this hero should be played as a support personally. I saw some people on Reddit saying like, oh, he can off lane maybe and things like that, but I don't think that's really the right way to play the hero. I think he should just be played as a hard support, and I think he works just fine that way. The reason that he works like this is because his skills are, well, what you need to support is you need to be able to contribute without needing to farm, and you need just a few levels to be able to contribute, and I think that he can do that personally, due to the way that his skills function, and also the fact that his damage is really not that significant, so if you play him in a core role, you're going to probably be falling off a little bit, in some ways. I think if you grab some items, you can be very, very useful in terms of team fight, disabling and things. I've been checking his clockwork to see if he has an observer word. He does still have it here, so I'm not going to do anything to him just yet. But I think the hero is a pretty darn good support. In this game, I really saw how strong he was as a zoning support. And what a zoning support usually does, you make sure that the offlane hero can't get within EXP range, since it was a tri versus, or basically a dual lane versus solo setup. So what I want to do is I want to make sure as a support, and I do this almost every game in solo ranked, is I make sure that the enemy offlane hero has to stay far away. And to do this, I'm going to use my first skill. You can get an idea of what it does in a second. I'll tell you in a moment. Alright. So what it does is, it gives me, look how much damage I just did to that guy. I did a lot of damage. What it does is it gives you flying movement, so kind of like Batrider, except you don't break the trees, and it also doesn't give you vision over the trees while you fly over it. It also increases your attack range, and it also, when you apply an attack on a hero, it reduces their HP. I'm not worried about fighting this clock here, by the way, because he's only level 1, so I know that he's got Battery Assault, but my allied Tiny is close by, so this is fine. The Tiny overchased a little bit here, but it's not a big deal. So, gives you longer attack range. If you hit your target, it slows them for, I think, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And it also burns a percentage of their current HP. It removes 6% of their current HP. That means if you hit somebody once and hypothetically they have full HP, it lasts for 5 seconds, removing 30% of their current HP. So if somebody has full HP, you're actually doing a lot. And you'll see the little burn thing, this little 20 number that's popping up here. The other really nice part is obviously that you're getting extra auto attacks in, and that's obviously really great. But it's a great harassing tool, at least for the early game like this, because it actually removes a gigantic percentage of the Clockwork's HP. It's not a spell, it's just, it helps me kite my opponents. The only downside is that it's a really big cooldown at level 1 at 50 seconds, so I can only use it so often, and it's a bit expensive in terms of mana. It costs 120 here. So, I wanted to gank the Clockwork, so I'm going to use my second skill now. Asking for the axe to come, but he actually wasn't really moving yet.
In this world, nothing is certain but us.
I just wanted to use it once more because I didn't want him to be able to get away, and I thought a slow would be useful. Okay, so attack range gives you 275 at level 1. Does the damage. The damage is consistent at all levels, by the way, so leveling this up does not give you more damage. and it applies a movement slow, that which scales 25 to 40%. The mana cost is slightly reduced, and the cooldown massively decreases. At level 4, you can use it a lot, which is pretty nice in the late game. But I don't think this skill should be maxed at all. The first reason that it scales terribly, it really scales poorly. All that increases your attack range, the cooldown, the mana cost, and the movement slow all become more beneficial to you. But you don't really need it for that. The extra range is pretty nice on this skill, but I don't really feel like that's a reason to put skill points into this over another ability. So I tried playing this with like 3 skill points in Arctic Burn with 1-1-1. Like, I read it out, comment on Reddit, somebody was like, oh, I've been playing him a lot, and I went 3-1-1 into 3-4-1. So they max out your second skill second. And I tried that out, and it does give you much better range, and the range is fantastic, but it's just, it doesn't scale well. And in the mid game, all you basically have is this skill at level 3, and it doesn't increase in damage. All it does is increases the slow by 10% and gives you 200 more range. It's just not worth it, I don't think. So level 1 with this skill, I think, is the way to go, and then you get 2 levels of Splinter Blast. In most cases, sometimes you will grab 1 level of Cold Embrace by level 3. And in rare cases, maybe 1 level of Cold Embrace by level 2. Maybe if you're in a 1v1 matchup or something like that. But in any kind of a dual lane or a tri-lane, I think it's better to probably do this skill build. One important thing about Arctic Burn, you can't reapply the buff during the duration. The duration is very low, it only lasts for 6 seconds. If you attack somebody with it, and then you attack them 3 seconds later, it doesn't reapply the buff. The buff only works 1 time per Arctic Burn duration. Otherwise it would be way too good, because you could basically remove half of somebody's HP with just Arctic Burn. So that means during team fights in the late game, you want to attack every single one of your opponents at least once, if possible, during the 6 seconds, because if you do that, it applies slows on them all, and it lowers a decent amount of their HP. And I believe it does pure damage, if I'm not mistaken. It does do pure damage, so it's pretty significant in terms of its nuke. Now I'm going to auto attack here because I only have 2 creeps. It's important that if you are pulling, you pull through, and also you get the gold and experience for those waves. And Tiny was like, oh, we're going to go gank mid, so I was like, alright, screw this, I'm just going to go get less hits in the lanes. This is pretty cool for me, but it's not really typical as a support. And even if it didn't happen, it's not a big deal, because the hero is decent enough with low amounts of farm and experience. You can roam with this guy. Part of the usefulness comes with your second ability. It's called Splinter Blast. The range is huge, and the way this works is you cast it on an enemy unit or creep, and then that the slow projectile speed will fly out, and then the target that gets hit doesn't take any damage at all, or slow, nothing. But from the target that gets hit, it explodes in a 500 radius, and 500 radius is something like this. So it's pretty big. It's a pretty big radius. It's a little bit longer than my attack range of 425. So that AoE around the unit that gets hit will splinter off, it'll do damage, and most importantly, it's also going to do AoE. So I only hit him like twice here because I wanted to lower his HP a little bit, since I'm laning against him 1v1 here. I just wanted to keep his HP down so he felt less able to dive me. So the Splinter Blast basically does slow, does 25%. That's why I used it against that clockwork to initiate. Slows by 25%. It's not great, but the 2 slows together are pretty good. 2 25% slows, at least at the level 1 Arctic Burn. The best thing about this skill is that it actually does high damage for its skill points. It does 260 here for level 3, and at level 4 it does 340, so it's a little high. But the best part is actually the cooldown. The cooldown is 7 seconds. And the reason is that the cooldown is so low is because the ability is in some ways bad. And that's what I first thought when I saw the skill. I was like, man, it's so hard to use it. Like, I have to, if I want to kill somebody, it's not easy. I don't just throw it on the guy I'm trying to damage. I have to throw it next to a guy I'm trying to damage. So it gets a little confusing. But this is offset, and it's not just about it being confusing. It's about if there's only 1 hero, you can't do damage. And if there's only 2 creeps, you can't farm with it very well, because you're really using a spell to do damage to 1 creep. It's best if you're hitting a lot of units, kind of like Flat Cannon. Like, if there's like 8 people that I can hit, that's really good. I could easily fracture this. Yep, and I did. See the little explosions coming out? I did a decent amount of damage to the clockwork. He got a little too cocky. And with my 2 nukes, I did, I don't know, maybe 400 damage or something like that as a support with a decent range attack as well. Like, there's a lot of really good things about this here. Now I've actually hit 6. This is way early. It's because I got a solo lane because my Tiny decided to leave. So talk about Fracture a little bit more. The way that our Splinter Blast, the reason that this is overpowered, well, not overpowered, but this is why this skill should be max, it's because the cooldown is 7 seconds. With a 7-second cooldown and a nuke that does 340 magic damage at a range of 1,000, look how big this range is, it's huge. This allows you to counter push insanely strongly, insanely well, and it also allows you to initiate ganks and nuke from range as well. So the best hero, the coolest thing about Winter Wyvern, in my opinion, is that at all stages of the game, he's pretty useful for like a lot of different things. This is a little tough here. Luckily the Tiny got the toss on here. Should have used that a little earlier, I think. Messed that up a little bit. I'll talk about his ultimate in a bit when I get there, but I'm just going to talk about all the skills as I go, and then you guys can figure things out for yourself if you don't know. So Splinter Blast is basically amazing because the split push and the pushing and the counter pushing, mainly the counter pushing, is really good. And the early game Winter Wyvern can gank pretty well because with 2 or 3 skill points, he has pretty darn good damage output and he has good ganking potential because his Arctic Burn allows him to run over cliffs, he can gank from weird angles, he can fly over trees. It gives you really cool paths that you can approach your gank for, and if you're doing that in smart ways, you're going to be doing some good things with the hero. So that skill and your second skill together makes him a decent ganking hero. He doesn't have a stun, but slows in the early game are pretty useful. If you're against a co-op or something like that, Winter Wyvern isn't very good because he's hard to set up ganks on like a co-op in the mid lane. But if it's any kind of immobile hero, he's pretty useful, and he's very good zoning, which I found in this game. And his counter push is amazing in the mid game, and that's why it's so important to max out this skill second. If you go 3 points into your Arctic Burn, a lot of times there's team fights that are happening about when you're almost 6 as a support. Somewhere around the 10-minute mark is you're going to see a lot of pushing and things like that, and sometimes you have to go defend that. So what the Splinter Blast allows you to do is it allows you to stop those pushes dead in their tracks, because as soon as it approaches, you launch a Splinter Blast from 1,000 range, and every support's pretty much safe at 1,000 range. Nobody can get in range. If it's 600 range, yeah, people can initiate on you, but if it's 1,000, you launch it from too far away. Like, look how long that range was, and I just stressed that techies for 255 magic damage. Like, and that only cost me 150 mana. I did this a little out of, and I messed that up as well. Well, we did actually kill the techies, but I messed it up. Did you see how I casted that on the techies? What I should have casted that on was the Mirana. If I casted on the Mirana, it would have hit the techies, and the techies may have died from it. Instead, the Tiny was able to clean up, which was good. But does it slow the target? I actually don't know if it does. Completely unaffected. So it doesn't affect the target in the slightest. It doesn't slow him. It just hits people around him. So if your opponents are pushing and you have something like a Soul Ring, you can just spam the Splinters for days and people can't take towers. He's kind of like Caudle in a way, but I think he's a better Caudle in my opinion. He does take more levels to become effective, and he kind of needs a Soul Ring before he can counter push like Caudle really can. I was actually checking for mines here. I knew techies had, oh wow, I can actually see those. I knew techies had mines over here. I just got the sentry and I was going to deward this, and I figured they were in this area. Watch this. This guy walked right into it. I was like, dude, I just bought a sentry. I knew he had mines over there. I was going to deward them, and he got a kill. It was so depressing. Okay, so Winter Wyvern strengths early game. Ganking, you didn't see any roaming this game, but in the game I did before this, I roamed a lot, and it worked pretty well. What you should basically do, let's say for example, I'll just look away from my player perspective because I want you guys to understand this. Let's say I'm playing Radiant, okay, and my enemies are playing Dire, and the Dire hero, it's nighttime maybe, and they're standing here. What you want to do is you want to come from the backside, you walk all the way around from the back, and you approach from here. And then what you do is, if they're standing by the creep wave, the first way you initiate is probably casting Splinter Blast, because you want to hit him before he runs away from the creeps. Because if he runs away from the creeps, you can't use that. You hit a creep, like a range creep or something, it splinters into them, it does damage to them. What am I? I'm still farming. It does Splinter Blast to slow them, and then you activate your Arctic Burn, and then you start attacking them, and that slows them down a lot. And that's basically how you gank, and you combo that with your allies. It's pretty important to do that. So I think I TP'd the bot lane because it looked like we were going to push, and I wanted to be there for fights. Again, the reason I buy Soul Ring is because though his int gain is really good and his int pool is really good, with a 7-second spammable spell like this, you're going to need some mana pool. And one way to get this is Arcane Boots, but I personally like Tranquil Boots better on this hero. I actually haven't tried Arcane Boots on this hero yet, but I don't think it's worth bothering. I don't know. I think Soul Ring is plenty good enough. It gives me enough mana. Your ultimate's actually a really big mana cost as well at 250. So you actually do have slight mana problems. I think Soul Ring is the way to go in this hero, especially with Tranquil Boots, because his armor is also a bit low. Tranquils are just too good on almost all support heroes in my opinion, because they give you armor, which most supports can't afford, and they also give you a big movement speed increase. And that's why Tranquils are so good on this hero. Look at his movement speed. He's 335. He's actually one of the slowest heroes in the game. I think he's about as slow as Crystal Maiden is, 50, 30, yeah. He's as slow as Crystal Maiden is. Really, really slow hero. I don't think I'm going to be able to get there for this. But again, if I want to clear creeps, Splinter Blast, look at that damage. It's really good. And I can use the Soul Ring. It's going to keep me healed up towards full HP. Your strength gain is pretty good at 2.1. It's not amazing, but it's okay. It's enough where you don't have to buy strength items on this hero. like you would on maybe a Crystal Maiden or something like that. So your HP is pretty good, your int game's pretty good, but you definitely need Soul Ring to sustain the Splinter Blast. If you do get max Splinter Blast first, I think you have to get either Arcane or you have to get Soul Ring. Okay, so let's start with this third skill now that we're 12 minutes into the game. We can go back to player perspective. Your third skill is called Cold Embrace. What it does is it gives your ally, or yourself, or your creep, maximum armor. So basically you take no physical damage for 4 seconds and also stuns them. So when you use it on them, they're frozen solid, they're stunned for 4 seconds, and it also regens their HP based on a max HP. Actually, I was taking damage to these, unfortunately. What I wanted to do next was get them all down to 1 HP. That way I could use Cold Embrace to kill them all individually. And here I'm going to use Cold Embrace here. So look at this. I take no damage from physical. You still take magic damage. You still take pure damage. Shouldn't have bothered ulting there because he wasn't going to die anyways. But it's a bit unlikely for that to work. But anyways, Cold Embrace yourself or an ally. It makes them completely immune to physical damage. They get health regen over time, which is based on their maximum health percentage. And that's it. And then it runs out and your allies can do stuff again. That was a good Sunstrike. So Cold Embrace should be used on allies that are taking physical focus fire, or if they're stunned for about 4 seconds, you can use it on them anyways, because then they're going to be regenning while they're stunned, and that's good as well. So, good example of a hero to use this against. I'm sure you guys have been seeing a lot of Winter Wyvern in your pub games because of the Year Beast. I'll talk about that in a sec, but really good heroes to use Winter Wyvern against is heroes like Faceless Void. If Faceless Void Chronosphere is your ally, you just armor him. He'll still take magical damage if Void bashes, but he's not taking the physical damage from Void, which is the bigger component in the early game. And he's going to be regenerating health at the same time, so the Cold Embrace is pretty good for that. I used my first skill a little bit late here. This is a mistake. Messed up my second skill there, didn't hit the clockwork with it. But we're all good. Should use my first skill a little bit earlier. You want to hit them pretty much right away with that because it does do damage over time. If their HP is low when you're hitting them with your first skill, all you're really doing is slowing them. It doesn't do good damage because remember it's based on your current HP. It's kind of like Zeus passive. It does more if they're at full HP than it does if they're at low HP. So always use that first. So because I think there's a lot of heroes mid, I'm just going to spam it out. You don't always get all the last hits because of the nature of the skill, but you can definitely prevent it from pushing forward, and that's something that I can do. Like, my allies can leave the lane. I mean, our tier 1 tower's already gone, so it's kind of a waste in some ways, but I can, like, guarantee that this wave doesn't get pushed in. And with Tranquil's Wand and a Soul Ring, you're pretty much set for doing everything you need to do as this hero. And once you get at least level 7, you're also pretty set. You don't really need to max out your third skill, but generally people do because the max health regen can be useful. And maxing your first skill, I think, is definitely important after Splinter Blast because the range goes up by a huge amount and the cooldown goes down massively, like really, really far. It's important that you do that. The really cool thing about Splinter Blast, though, is that it kills range creeps for a very, very long time in the game. Like, until, I think it was like 40 minutes. Until 40 minutes, Splinter Blast will one-shot range creeps. That's really good damage. And it's a 7-second cooldown. Another thing you can use Splinter Blast for, I didn't do this in this game, but I did in the previous game. We were really behind, so what I did was I stacked a large camp. Like one of these camps here. I stacked it like 4 times, and then I went back with Splinter Blast and a Soul Ring. And that was all I had was a Soul Ring, and I cleared this large camp. And it only took me like 15 seconds, because you can do that. It's a 7-second cooldown, you have a Soul Ring, so you've got plenty of mana, as long as your mana's full. And I just wrecked the camp. So you can actually farm really fast with this hero. Again, I don't really recommend him as a mid hero, but if you're playing a support and you want to stack camps, even if you don't necessarily have the right carries for it to kill a large camp, like, you can kill it yourself. So that's kind of cool. It's a little scary because I knew wards were there, so I was going to use my first skill to fly over the hill so I could get to the fight. Although I kind of made a mistake here. And I got caught. I tried to fly back down the hill. That was really close. I did not do a very good job of dodging that. And again, it's like, oh, you guys are thinking about pushing? I'm just going to keep spamming my nuke over here. And because I have Tranquil Boots, this doesn't cost me a whole lot at all. Throw another one of these out. Might be able to catch him. Pretty close. I'm going to armor him up here. Fortunately for me, I'm out of mana here. That guy's really missed my green. Alright, and those are going to be dead now. So the axe did end up dying from it. That's one of the problems with the Cold Embrace, is that it sets your opponents up for things like Sunstrike or any kind of skill shot, nuke, stuff like that. But usually the HP regen is enough to keep them in a fairly safe spot. So that's the first 3 skills. The last skill, which I have yet to talk about, and I really haven't used it effectively at all this game. What it does is, it's called Winter's Curse. It's kind of like Axe, Berserker's Call, Axe's first skill, except I can use it on my opponents. So I use it on my opponents, and in an area around my opponents, their allies attack him. So it's like, I cast it on a squishy opponent, and then his carry, who's standing next to him, turns and kills him. It's a really good ability. It's a team fight ultimate. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's overpowered, and it's very difficult to use in my opinion, but it's a very strong skill, and it's mainly used just to combo with like any clumping AoE or to help focus a hero that's stunned. And it goes through Magic Immunity. You can stun through BKB. Pretty good ultimate for that. Not gonna see techies get, never mind. We will see techies die here. It's gonna push the wave a little bit here. It's got a really long range as well. Actually, it's not amazing. Just gonna heal up the Axe a little bit here. Purge definitely in a really bad spot. At this point, I realized he was still in there. This is pretty bad for me. I got killed really fast there. Again, the hero doesn't have the best HP, but it's pretty good. I actually thought the Quap was going to live there. This is a pretty weird chase. Fast thinking from Max, who picks up the gem missile. We really need that against the techies. So the ultimate actually does no damage technically, but it does stun for 2.5 to 3 seconds depending on the level. The cooldown's really high in 90 seconds, so you have to use it pretty sparingly. You can use it as just a stun if you want to, but the main reason you want to use it is when your opponents are clumped up, use it on the squishy hero. When this carry is standing right next to him and the carry just right clicks like crazy and kills him really rapidly. That's what you should be doing. So at this point, I pretty much have my core items. I don't really feel like you need anything in specific on this hero other than maybe a soul ring. Again, if you go the skill build that I recommend, I think you absolutely need it. The soul ring, that is. I unfortunately didn't get my slow off on the Quap, but he did already use his first skill. So I'm going to use my flying skill. I was trying to get a range attack in, but he got slightly out of my range. And again, I'm going to use my second skill for some damage there. As long as there's a creep wave nearby, you can use it. And the extra slow is very, very useful. And again, it's a 25-second or 7-second cooldown. The slow lasts for 4, so the amount of uptime you can have on the slow is really good. Actually, at first I was like, I think this ability sucks, but as I play more and more this year, I actually really like this ability. It's really unique, it's really cool, it's spammable, it has its strengths. Gonna initiate here on the Invoker. So, I don't know if you saw how significant what I just did was, but it works on creeps as well. And against an Exort Invoker who has 2 Forged Spirits, it's actually pretty good. Because I'm basically stunning the Invoker for 2.5 seconds. His Forged Spirits are lowering his armor by 3 or 4, which is good because I'm going to right-click him. And then I used all my other skills as well to do some burst damage. And because Quap kind of looked like she was in danger, especially against Forged Spirits who do physical damage and minus armor damage. Look at this, I'm not even like close, and bam, I got 3 CS. I did some damage to the Windrunner, like that's so useful. So I armor, then I armored the Queen of Pain. The Queen of Pain stops taking any damage from the Forged Spirits. The Forged Spirit minus armor would stack until after it ran out, but just to do a little bit of harass there, I think it's very useful here. So I'm thinking about going in here. I am healing up with the Tranquil boots right now. I don't really want to go in just yet. But here comes the attack. Look at that attack range. It's really good. Again, 1 attack on each. I actually didn't catch the Windrunner, unfortunately. I'm gonna have a sentry here. Unfortunately, the Yules. I forgot about that. I really messed up getting shackled there. I'm gonna try to juke them a little bit by flying through the trees, but a nice power shot pretty much secures that. This is really close. So the mistake I made there, I was going to hide in the trees and just TP out, right? Which I thought was going to be fine. But the issue is that when it runs out, it destroys the trees around you. So if you ever want to kill a Winter Wyvern and he's not flying uphill or something, what you can do is just wait until he's juking with it and then the trees are going to die. And you should have a chance to kill him. So it's a little trick there. I realized that right there. I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. I can easily TP out. But I wasn't able to make it. And I did buy out before I died at least. I'm buying a 4-staff first this game. This is the first game I bought a 4-staff first on Winter Wyvern, but the reason you kind of need it is because you're against a Clockwork. If you're against a Clockwork, you definitely need it. Any support hero that doesn't have a good escape is going to need it. Now, I could use my first skill to escape the cogs, but most of the time you use that skill to initiate, and the cooldown's so long that you can't really save it just for the moments when you get cogged. So I think a Force Staff is really good this game and kind of absolutely needed. If you're against a Clockwork, you need a Force Staff on most support heroes. I'll buy that first. We kind of have the benefit of them not having a super hard carry, like a PA or something like that. So I maybe didn't have the worst trouble. Was a good force from the Invoker, really close there. And again, if you're using your third skill, try to use it on the weakest of the creeps there. It's like we have a bit of a fight going on, so we'll try to get the ball. Putting the ability on a couple of people. Just really trying to ulti that guy. Again, spreading damage, and there we go. So right there, again, I used apply slow again. Playing slow on a couple of people. That went really well. I think that was a good example of the strengths of this hero. I don't think I used my third skill, but I did use all of the other ones quite a few times. I got tossed in as well. But at this point, look at my survivability. I've got pretty high HP. My armor is solid because I have a Tranquil boots. I've been able to farm no problem. When you have the Soul Ring, you can cast a spell tons. You can farm creep waves. You can counter push, which gives you farm. You can do jungle camps if you really want to. And just staying alive in teamfights is really good. I also got a solo kill on the Invoker. Well, I killed the Invoker because of the damage she was taking from Winter's Curse. If you're even if their heroes do the damage that kills Invoker, I still get the kill for it because it was due to me. And that was a really good one. They were really clumped up. You cast it on the weak one in the clump, and you cast the Splinter Blast on somebody that you're not targeting with your ulti usually. And it's very important to remember, you want to try to cast the ultimate on somebody that's not the carry. You want the carry to do damage to the guy that he's hitting. I messed that up a lot in all the other games that I played. They had some vision here on me. I got absolutely ganged up on here. They used their pot ult. They must have had a lane ward. I'm actually going to look to see if they have a lane ward here. I guess they spotted us here, yeah. I don't know why they had used their pot multi. That was a bit peculiar, because I think we approached through the jungle. I don't know. That was kind of weird. I don't know why they used their ulti there. But they got me good. So yeah, Force Staff. Use the ultimate when they're grouped up. Make sure you use it on a squishy hero, preferably not the carry, because you want the carry to be able to initiate. But the issue is that the casting range on it is a little slow, a little short, and your opponents aren't often grouped for very long. I've had a lot of ultimates where I'll cast it, but everybody will be slightly outside the range, and that causes a bit of problems because then you're not able to utilize your ultimate to full potential. I mean, it is an AoE stun, and that's what you got to remember. It's not just a stun on one guy; it's an AoE stun. You're catching lots of people with it. That makes it really good, but they have to be within AoE or within the range. If they're not within the range, then you're dealing with a spell that's really not that useful. So, I put the gem on the courier now. I'm gonna fly it out and try to put it on somebody here, and got to go get some more wards down. So I've got the Force Staff items that I built other games. I built a Rod of Atos one game where I was doing really well, but it was an unranked. I mean, this is unranked, but this game was actually fairly balanced in terms of MMR, I think, from what it felt like. The other game I played where I got a Rod of Atos, I was really far ahead. I used my ultimate here because I really wanted to make sure that he didn't go invisible. We did actually have the gem in the area, but I really wanted to make sure he didn't get away, because if he would have ghost walked, then I think he would have been able to survive. Bit of a mistake from me here. Trying to apply slow on all these guys. What was I just saying? Shoot. I wanted to armor the Quap here, but I was really worried that he was going to get Sunstriked if I did. And here's another cool part about the Soul Ring. If you're ever low in HP, you can just cast your third skill on yourself. Pretty simple. Again, we're trying to push, so I'll cast some spells. Makes for kind of weird last hitting again, but it works.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
And I'm going to sit in a spot that's pretty aggressive at this point, especially if you're taking a tower and there's a lot of dead heroes. Sometimes it's good to scoot past and go place an aggressive ward on that next spot, because that's where you're going to see people coming from. And now we can see the Techies is way back there. Maybe Pudge gonna come, for example, and they won't always expect that. You kind of have to know when it's okay to do that, though. A lot of the times it's a little scary. So I've got my ultimate again. Got directly rocketed, but not a big deal, because I have Tranquil boots. And I'll probably place more aggressive wards. That one's dying, so I'll place one kind of close. See the Invoker coming back.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
There's the slow, couple more right clicks. How much damage that did? That was actually so much. I knew he was going to force me, or he was going to shackle me, so I had to force to a position where I wasn't going to get caught by trees. And then I'll place another observer ward and I'll get out there. So the first skill is really good. It's honestly a very cool skill. It's such a cool skill too, that's the best part about it. Like, a lot of the newer heroes have really interesting abilities and really interesting hero abilities. I feel like I just said that. It's because a lot of the first heroes were very cookie cutter and basic, like Vengeful Spirit is a good example of a really basic hero. Even Sven was really basic in the past. Again, apply the orb to both heroes so I can get some slow in. I messed that up. I should have had that kill. I forced in over the cogs because I figured I might be able to catch him with my ultimate. And I actually did have range. I had enough time to auto attack, but I should have casted my ultimate and I didn't. I should have got him though. If I would have casted my ultimate, he would have been stunned from his TP, and then you know, he would have died. So that's a pretty big mistake. I forced the Pudge forward so that he could blink into a dismember. That one's a pretty easy kill. Luckily for me, my range is just long enough to de-ward. Oh yeah, the reason, I almost mentioned this earlier, the reason Winter Wyvern is picked very often against the Earbeast is because his third skill will make the Earbeast invulnerable to physical damage, which is the main way that he dies, and it also heals on a percentage of his HP, and since the Earbeast has 2000 HP, we're talking a lot of heal. So again, every time I use my second skill, I'll use Soul Ring when applicable. Pretty much just keeps my my mana at full. So yeah, this hero is really good at Earbeast. The nice thing about Earbeast though is that most people are seeing what heroes are winning often and they'll start picking them. And I'm starting to see players that are picking Earbeast heroes that aren't very good at the heroes. It's kind of nice. It makes the game a little easier than it may have been before. Just a random hero here. Again, I'm gonna ulti. I didn't really think the ultimate was worth it there, but I was worried about a leap and then him being able to get away, and I was also worried about him popping his ultimate because again, I wasn't carrying detection. So a little bit of a waste on my ultimate there, but I'd rather go for the guaranteed kill. Every time there's a kill or somebody to gank or attack, I just use my first skill. It's such a cool ability. God, I know I've said that a million times, but it really is. Just such a cool ability. It's an attack, but it's also a nuke. It's the only issue with it maybe is that it's really easy to think that it's not that amazing, I feel. It's hard to see the damage, kind of. It's not just upfront damage burst, it's more of the damage over time thing makes it a little bit different. So the item I'm building right after the Force Staff in this game is going to be a mechanism. The reason I'm building a mech is because my team doesn't have one, and we're all pretty tanky, so an armor increase will be good. And at this point, my mana pool is really high. I can easily afford the mana cost. I think earlier I wouldn't have been able to, but I think a mech is cool. So once you have at least one mobility or survivability item, I think getting a mech is okay. If you go Arcane Boots, maybe you can make mech right away. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that, personally. Probably should have used my first skill there to harass the bottom, in my opinion. Yeah, flying out the mech now. Mech will also give me more armor, that's always going to be useful. But these are pretty typical support items. Yeah, I think I was talking about Rod of Atos Winter Wyvern before, I'll mention that again. One game I got a Rod of Atos, and the reason that was so good is because you can use your first skill to slow from super far range, and then you can use the Rod of Atos, which shoots really, really far to slow, or not doesn't shoot, but you know, the active slow is a very, very big range. So you can use the Rod of Atos to slow somebody from really far away, while using your Arctic Burn from very far away to super slow somebody. I thought that was really good. It's not that expensive of an item. I should have used the Force Staff there to get down the hill. Bit of a mistake. I did get within experience range, which was nice. But Rod of Atos is good. If you're doing really well, I think building a Rod of Atos is great if you don't want to make a Force Staff. Or if you don't need a Force Staff, or you don't need a Blink Dagger. I think Rod of Atos is a good pickup. So I'd build either Force Staff, Rod of Atos, maybe Mechanism, probably one of those 3 items I think are the best. Here's a case of wanting to get in range, so I use Force Staff aggressively. It's fine to do that. The projectile speed of the first skill is actually really good. You can attack from pretty far away with it, which is nice.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Anything else to mention about the hero that's generic? Medallion's pretty good with the hero. I built Urn last game and I thought it wasn't very useful. You are in a lot of kills, I feel, but you don't really need it for the heals because you have your 3rd skill, so I feel like Urn is better off on another hero, personally.
Bottom tower is falling.
That range is just so good. Bit of a waste here on my ultimate. Actually, a big waste. My armor didn't really save me there. Part of the issue is that the lightning procs are magic, so they did damage to me. The other issue is that Techies lived, so he was able to remote mine me, and then he power shotted me as well. So it's not exactly an always save kind of ability. And I also used my ultimate a little bit late. I should have used it on the Techies maybe to guarantee the kill on him. So there's a couple issues there that led to my death, but it's okay. I have a lot of experience this game just because I've been farming a lot. As a support, you can get a lot of farm in this hero. Again, just because of the soul ring and the nature of his 2nd skill. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit until I'm alive. They got a kill! It's one of the downsides of getting a lot of experience as a support is that you actually are dead a lot of the time. So. The item I bought after this was a Blink Dagger. I think Blink Dagger is pretty good on this hero as well. Some people argue Blink is better than Force Staff, and I think they're mostly right. But I'm not completely sold on it just yet. I'll tell you why in a second. I feel like I died, and that guy's died. So, the reason that Blink Dagger is pretty useful is because it allows you to primarily use your ultimate better. I had one game where I spent a lot of time running from fight to fight, and I was always a little bit late, and I really felt like a mobility item would have been better. So getting a mobility item is often very good on this hero, which is part of the reason I got Force. This game, Force has more gotten to keep me alive versus Clockwork, but as an offensive or a defensive mobility item is very good. So you can get within range to cast your Cold Embrace, or cast your ultimate, or get a little closer to use your first skill. Blink is probably better off with your ultimate though, because using your ultimate, there's very few times. It's kind of like playing Axe or something. Why play Axe with a Force Staff when you can play him with a Blink Dagger? Because if you have a Blink Dagger, you can initiate perfectly when you see those opportunities. Same with Magnus. You see the opportunities, you go in and you take them. And with Winter Wyvern, you're kind of like it's kind of a weird hero. It's kind of like you're playing Dazzle, Axe sort of thing with a nuke. It's very, very interesting hero, because I haven't said that yet. So having the Blink Dagger allows you to take those opportunities where you see them group too much. You can take the opportunities to grab a huge ultimate, which will more often than not just result in a team wipe or doing a lot of damage. You haven't really seen me do that yet, but I don't know. I'm not that great at this hero just yet. Other heroes you can combo this with, his ultimate works great with Axe actually, because Axe will clump up your opponents when he uses his first skill. If Axe gets a big Berserker's Call, you can follow up on that. If your Magnus lands a huge RP, you can follow up on that. As soon as the duration ends, you cast yours, and then you're essentially casting a second RP, except with the added bonus of doing bonus physical damage to whoever you target, because your opponents are going to attack each other. So that's pretty cool. That's about it. Just buy wards once in a while. I really sucked on warding this game because I didn't really care that much in terms of playing support the proper way. But you can buy wards a lot. Just wanted to stun him here. Wanted to guarantee that he didn't get away, so I used my ultimate, even though he was on the low ground. I pinged for the Mirana. I was a bit worried about the courier here. Wasn't quite sure where the Mirana was, but she's over here somewhere. I don't know what I was waiting for. Spent a lot of time standing around just so I could have been walking. I think I was thinking about the Mirana and trying to get people to go back for the Mirana. Not really sure. And since we're about to Rosh, I'm just going to put the wards position so that we have a good view on Rosh. I actually haven't tried to see if my first skill works on Rosh, but I'd almost guarantee that it doesn't. It'd be way too good. Should have Soul Ring there before I mech. So it heals a pretty big percentage of your HP. If you're curious what it is, 3% times 4, so it's, what, 12 or something? That's actually pretty shit. Heals 12 to 24% of your HP depending on the level, so... If you only have 1000 HP, that's 120 HP. It's not that great of a heal. It's mainly used to reduce physical damage, or if they're stunned, you might as well heal them while they're stunned, is kind of the idea with it. But it being such a long cooldown is a little bit... it's basically the nerf. If that skill is amazing, it would probably be reduced cooldown, or reduced duration. That's an interesting point. Think about, let's theorycraft this a little bit. So, Cold Embrace is good because it heals your ally, it gives them armor, and basically makes them stop taking damage from physical. Those are the benefits, but it does both too well in a way. Like, if you reduce the duration and allow you to only stun your allies on certain moments, then the amount healed would be lower when you're using it just for the heal portion. You know, makes it a little tough. I actually messed up there. I armored the Tiny. I armored the Tiny as he BKB'd. Apparently you can use it on a BKB hero. I was not aware of this. Again, gonna continue to spam my second skill. I was able to ulti the Techies though. I figured the Techies was surrounded by heroes, and he was. He ended up getting killed by it, so got a free kill on Techies, which is good. Definitely useful to have that. I definitely kind of need a high ground ward, especially with an axe and a Pudge. We need to be able to get a vantage point to initiate. And at higher skill levels, I would never ward like this because it's so obvious. It's daytime. They know I'm about to place a ward, and they actually already had a gem, so they just killed it right away. That's what I get. My mana's a little low though. The Soul Ring's kind of proving to be not quite enough. I just wanted to keep everybody full HP. Maybe shouldn't even bother using that, but definitely trying to keep my mana pool up would be useful. And more of my wards are gonna die, unfortunately. He's actually getting wrecked by the location bar. A little bit of damage on everybody. That was really unfortunate. I felt like I could be aggressive there because my team was backing me up, but that wasn't exactly the case. That was a great little fight. Yeah, I felt like I could be aggressive, but the cold snap really wrecked me because I was taking focus fire damage, so I was pretty much perma-stunned. I was trying to get my ulti off or anything, but I just died. I tried to do my ulti, I maybe should have tried my third skill. I don't know. I think I was going to die no matter what there.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
So I've been dead for a while. That sucks. Again, point of the team fights, apply your first skill to everybody, try to use your second skill when possible, and look for an ult target. It's really hard to use your second skill sometimes, which is one of the downsides of this hero. But he still is pretty good with his first skill. And in a lot of ways, his ult or his first skill scales amazing. Because it keeps working through the game. And it's based on how much HP they have. So even if you're behind, he's still good. That's actually a point about him that I haven't talked about. So it's 43 minutes, and now my second skill finally doesn't kill range creeps. So keep that in mind. But yeah, your first skill does damage based on how much HP they have. So if your opponents have a lot of HP, you do more damage. And as the game continues, it does more and more damage, which is cool. And your ultimate does damage based on how many items they have. So you have two skills that scale entirely based on how strong your allies, how strong your opponents are, or how much HP they have at least. Which is kind of cool. Very weird hero. I feel like the theory behind this hero is one of the more interesting parts. That was actually pretty hilarious. A little bit of a stun here. Really don't want to get EMP'd here. Getting EMP'd as this hero is the worst. You actually really, especially in the early game, you really need your mana pool. It's really important. This ward's a little bit less dewarded because it's not as good of a spot, because there's trees that block it a little bit. Oh, it's really close up. Got a pretty good amount of gold here. It's a really nice call by Axe. So I forced the Quap because I was hoping he would barely turn around right before he got Sunstrike blasted. If he would have done that, I could have forced him pretty easily. Missed the piece of the moon there, but got everybody else. Pudge is actually pretty good with this combo, because he has so much HP I can heal a lot. What I should have done right there, I should have blinked. If I would have blinked and ultied that caught him, he would have died, I think. Almost guaranteed. God, that was beautiful. That was actually beautiful. The clock even hooked in there. That wasn't the right way for clock to do that. He should have hooked for the back lines, not the front lines. He basically hooked to catch the axe, but that wasn't gonna matter. So that was exactly what I was talking about. That's the strengths of the hero. You wait until Axe calls like 3 heroes, and then use your ultimate, and then they're stunned for an extra 4 seconds. And then all of our other heroes use their AoEs, including a Tiny and a Quap. So like, at that point, the fight's over. Like, you just run fights like that. I mean, the other issue is that they don't really have a real carry. They just have a Windrunner who can do a ton of solo target damage, but can't really carry versus a whole team because the cooldown is long enough. At this point, the item I was like, I should buy is a Yule's. I was like, I will buy a Yule's Scepter, but I was like, no, this is a pub. I'm going to buy whatever. Because I just wanted to try it out. I feel like I'm getting a lot of gold. I'm able to stay alive. I'm getting an advantage. I was like, I'm going to buy a Lincoln Sphere. Just because, I don't know. I wanted some mana regen item, and that's what I thought of. Obviously, Yule's works great as a mana regen item, but I kind of felt like getting a Lincoln's because I could buff my allies a bit more with it to compensate and stuff like that. When I save the Quap, by the way, I didn't really mean to do it in this order, but what I meant to do is force and then armor the Quap. But it actually doesn't matter what order you do that in. If you armor him or cold embrace him, aka stun him, if you do that, you can still force him. So I think I did it armor and then force is what I actually did there, which is good. Worked out just fine. Kept the Quap alive and allowed us to counter initiate, and it healed up the Quap a lot as well, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it was just because we were ahead this game, or maybe it was because they didn't have any carries, but I really felt like there was not a whole lot that was going to hold me back from continuously getting more and more gold. And look how great my HP is. I have 1700 HP. All from just living, basically. Pretty nasty as well. I'm a little surprised that he didn't... The BKB there, that was... that guy got wrecked. I didn't think he was going to die that fast.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
I knew he was going to try to shackle me there, so I had to buy the Lincolns really quick. Look, that actually just did so much damage. I just saw 3 ticks of 100 on that Windrunner. I just did like, that was like 400 magic damage after reduction. That's like a finger of death to use that skill late game. It's really good. Really good skill late game. Oh, is he flying? But the here's actually pretty strong. I don't think he's overpowered, and I think he's weird. And I don't necessarily think he's amazing, because he doesn't have any stuns until he gets his ultimate. His ultimate has a big cooldown, but I think he's easily pub viable. I think he's... I don't know. I think he's pretty cool. I don't think he's overpowered, but he has some viability in certain lineups. He's very good against tanky heroes because of his first skill. Or at least heroes that have a lot of HP. I don't know if he's necessarily good against like Bristleback or something like that, but I don't know. He's got... His strengths are basically counter pushing, harassing an offlaner. He has some good team fight capabilities, but it's a little hard to use. He's kind of farm independent, but he really needs a mobility item because he's so slow. Tranquil Boots kind of covers that, but I think he kind of needs a Force or a Blink to be really useful in the late game. But he can still roam without that. He just needs smokes to set himself up in the right position. Again, I didn't roam this much this game, but there were other games where I did roam a lot on Winter Wyvern. So he's cool. He's a jack of all trades hero, I think is a good way to describe him. Really is a jack of all trades. His damage scale's okay, but it's always kind of mediocre. It's probably how I'd explain the hero. It's really cool. Alright, so that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go play your Winter Wyverns. Winter Wyverns. God, that's hard to say. Thanks for watching. I'll probably try to get some more variety this week. Sorry, all the uploads have been really just stream uploads last week, but yeah, I've just been busy with stuff, but hopefully that won't be the case for too much longer. JK, I'm going to be busy forever. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for staying tuned to the channel. Again, if you guys haven't noticed yet, I'm sponsored by The Score Esports. Their Esports Edition. It's a mainstream sports app. It's available on the Android, the Play Store. Is that what it's called, the Play Store? Yeah, I think it is, for Android apps. They don't have the iOS version just yet, but if you want to check it out, you can download the app in the drop-down box below. I would recommend it. I've written a couple articles for them. There isn't a ton of Dota content because I feel like Dota tournaments are not as heavily covered as some of the other games. But if you like other games as well, like Hearthstone, StarCraft 2, League of Legends, stuff like that, they have lots of articles for that kind of stuff as well. But I usually just check out the Dota articles myself. Hopid writes articles for them. BTS guys do. I've written 2 articles for them. There's a couple other really good news articles, things like that are going on. But feel free to check it out and download it if you like. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.